In this video, we're going to take a look at doing a little application. We have some formulas that we're going to use that we did before. We're going to take a look at the totals again, and we're going to expand it to actually do a vertical lookup to reference some data that we have. So here we have a little grade book where we have assignments, different evaluations, their percentage to the total grade, and summing that up to make sure that our course amounts equal to 100. And then we have some values here where students are going to put in the grades that they've actually done, or sorry, faculty is going to put in the values that the students have actually done. How we've laid this out is we have some data up here which probably isn't going to change in a course. We may even set that up, and the instructor may never change that unless the course actually changes. But we have some area down here where faculty are going to enter things in. If we didn't have a participation grade yet, that would be blank, and a faculty member would put in the values here to make it work. Okay. So how we usually lay out an Excel application is we have some area, maybe some area for constants here, some area for headings, things that don't change very much. We have an area for input, so a really specific area on the Excel where people are just entering values, what's coming out of the environment, what grades students get in this case. And then we're going to have an area like this where it's a specific area for values coming out. So calculating what the grade is. These are going to be formulas. We're not going to type in values, we're going to get formulas coming out. And we want to lay out our Excel that way so people know where to put input in and where to get values out. And a lot of times we'll color it, or we'll put some other formatting around it so we can really tell what is input and what is output. So look at the formula for this. If we get 9 out of 10, that's 90%. That's only 20% of our grade. So we're going to scale this formula. And we're going to say this is, well, 9 over 10 times how much of that is the final grade. Plus this one, we're 7 out of 10 times how much that is the final grade. Do the same for the next one. And we do it for the last one as well. That divided by that times that. And there's not really much of a shortcut for us to be able to do that because there's not really anything we could drag and move things. We could add some other columns to make it easier, but really this is the best that we can do the way that it's laid out. And that's our formula. We can calculate that Mary got 81% on the course. The problem is we drag this down, it doesn't work because these formulas all went down and it's not using this header information, we're using the data as it's going down. So if you recall from before, what we need to do is we need to make these absolute cell references. So I'll do F4 just to change these to absolute cell references. And because we're only copying it downward, we could actually change these cell references to be just blocking the row. We wouldn't have to lock the column, but it wouldn't hurt for us to do it. So it doesn't matter if there's $2 signs or $1 sign before the row number. Great thing is, now that we do that, we're going to drag it down, and the formulas work. 80%, 67, 80, 81.5%. It all works out to be good values. I'm going to change this number a little bit. So we're going to have 80 and 80, 81.5. Now we're going to do some totals. Remember to do totals. Here we're going to do an average. We're going to go to the auto sum, do the drop down, and choose average of all the data that's there. And we do the same thing, drop down, go up there and do the max, choose the max. And we notice that it's only one value because that's all the continuous data, and it's wrong. So we're going to actually just drag the area that we want, press enter. Another thing we do is we copy this, we could copy the cell and paste it, and then we go in and we can edit it. Oh, but we have a different area, so that's probably not very efficient. So do min, choose a value, okay. And last one we do count, and what count is it says how many values are in that range. And we see the count, we have 5, and there's only 3 students because we have these 0 values here. So if we have a value of 0, even though there's no grades here, the calculation is 0, so it's going to put it into the average. So for all of these, we actually have to delete that data to get some accurate totals. All right, so we've got a little application going, 80%, 65, 81. But now if we're faculty and we're to assign a grade, we have to go and we say, oh, 80%, that was a B. Or that was a C. You get 80, that's a C. 67.5, that was a D, and that was a B. Okay, go through and do that. But we don't want to have to look up values and then type them in because we want this all to be automated. So what we're going to do is we're going to look up a value. So if you looked up in a course outline, take a look at the percentage and what grade you get. What you get is a table, and in our case, we have to have a table starting at the minimum. So if you get 0, so if you register for the course and you get 0, you don't do anything else, you get an F. Okay? At 60%, you get a D. At 70%, you get a C. At 80%, you get a B. And at 90%, you get an A. Okay. Or up until 80%, you get a B. And up until 90%, you get an A. So what we do in our vertical lookup now is we're going to say, if we have 80%, we're going to look through here to get a value, and then that's the value we're going to get over there. So we'll do V lookup. It's vertical because this data is written in columns. If it was written in rows, then it would be H lookup, horizontal lookup. How this works is I want to look up data vertically, and I'm going to look up the value, basically the percentage that a student got. And where do I want to look it up? Well, I'm going to give a value here, a range from J4 to K8. And when I get it, which data do I want to return? What's the result? Well, I don't want the percentage, I want the letter grade. So that's not the first column, it's the second column. Okay? And we get a value of C. So it's going through, what's got to 80, didn't quite get to 80%, okay, so it's a C. And we can do that for all of them. And what we could do is I could copy this down, but notice that when we look up, this lookup table has moved as well. So again, we have to go and do absolute cell references. So in here, you have 4, you have 4, make sure that that's not going to change, and then as we drag it down, we can see that that has been the same spot, and that has been in the same spot. And again, we can get rid of all these grades. Don't matter to us. Second thing I'm going to do is a comment. So I'm going to do, so if you get an F, you say needs more work. Okay, so some friendly comment to do. D was minimum results. Here we say okay, here we say oh good, and here we say great job. Okay. Something like that. So we have some comments. So doing a vertical lookup again, I'm going to say, again, the lookup. I'm going to look up the value. Again, the 80% that we had. I'm going to look up in the table array. Now I'm going to have all 3 columns data, all that whole area that we're looking at. And again, I'm going to make that absolute, so I'm going to press F4. And now I want column not 1, not 2, but we're going to do column 3. And that's going to find the relative comment for what we want to do. And again, I can copy that down, and everything